Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the NHRA stage here at the 2023 PRI show in Indianapolis. Of course, a much anticipated announcement coming here at now 9 a.m. Eastern on the beginning of the show here on Thursday. And the whole world's been buzzing, and now we're going to give you the reason why that buzz has been happening. So I'm joined on stage here by Leah Pruett, who is the runner-up of the Top Fuel points in 2023. Stunning finish to the season, a winner-take-all final round in Pomona, California, left her second in the points. And I'm joined by her husband, Tony Stewart, who was a guy who also had a run at a championship this year in his first full season in the world of top alcohol dragster. So the success that they both had is pretty awesome. TSR's come a long way in a very short amount of time. But there are some changes that are coming along, and we're here to announce those changes this morning, and I think it's only fair that you get to announce those changes for yourself, Leah.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first, I want to give a big thanks to everybody coming out. And for all of our supporters, PRI has always been very instrumental for all of us and in all different ways. For me specifically, 2015, I had announced for 2016 looking to be my first Top Fuel full season, and that was 7-8 years ago. And we're here to announce that I will be stepping out of the seat in 2024, focusing on starting a family with Tony. And with that, between myself and Neil, this decision did not come overnight about who was going to be that selected driver. And through Tony's, he has proven through multiple ways that we'll discuss, being a candidate that Neil Strasbaugh and myself selected to replace me in the Top Fuel Dragster for TSR with our existing partners for next season. And how this decision came about, no, I'm not pregnant, and really want to put that out there. I do plan to run the pro events in Bradenton in March, but there's multiple factors that played into this of why this is happening now. I thought it'd be extremely unfair. If we went to 2024 and we happened to start a family at that time, the points would be scrapped. That's not fair to my guys. It's not fair to our partners, to our fans. So right now was the decision that we had made in order to have full faith conversations with everybody about what our plans are and so that we can continue to move forward. I couldn't be more proud of what this organization has done to we go from finishing 11th 2 years ago to finishing third, could have finished first by that final round. And I had known this has been pretty much a 9-month long process of just getting to this point, and I went into that entire countdown knowing that I would be out of the seat. Nobody else knew. My crew didn't know. My crew chiefs did, of course, as we planned. And so we went ahead, and Tony has had a car that's been built in case he wanted to drive, and he didn't fit in my car. He's driven my car plenty of times, and he's very uncomfortable.
That's not funny. Just because she's skinny and I'm fat, that's not funny. Round is a shape, all right? I am in shape.
So we had a brand new PBRC dragster built with the 058 new regulations for next year. We've tested that. I've driven it. Tony's driven it. And between what he's proven this last year with the McPhillips team, finishing second in the points, having the best average reaction time of the entire class as a rookie season, and the car, wasn't as great as it was maybe in the beginning of the season, and Tony really proved his drivability. From smoking the tires, to spinning, to pedaling, to leaving on everybody, to running against supercharged cars, he's got it locked in. In my opinion, he's the world's best wheelman. Argue that however you want. And so when it came down to deciding who's going to fill this seat that our partners appreciate, recognize, can get behind, I'll tell you what, this might be a little unnerving. There's nothing like telling some of the most important people in your life that you're doing this, and that includes our team. So we informed them yesterday, and we were, I think that was that prepared us for this today. So I couldn't be more excited to support my husband in a very extremely competitive race car, very safe race car. I'll be his driving coach next year. That'll last like this long, I feel like. He's got a good wrap around it, as well as a new role that I have with the team, which is in the technology department as we work on new projects. So I've been deeply invested in that. I started some courses, and that actually started Saturday at Pomona. It takes about almost 40 hours a week to get me to where I need to be in order to do this job. And ultimately, we just plan to optimize our performance in every way. And as hard as I've thought that I've worked to do well in my seat, I'm working just as hard, if not more, as well as the entire team, to make sure that Tony's in not only the same caliber of race car, but maybe even a better one next year, so he can run right there for a championship like we were.
And Tony, obviously this is huge news for the sport in that everything you bring with you with your experience and your championships and other forms of racing. But there's another angle to this, not simply getting in the race car. You know, on the NASCAR side of things, you're aligned with Ford Motor Company, and here in drag racing, it's going to be a Dodge program. So if you could talk a little bit about navigating that, because that seems like a tightrope.
Yeah, and it took a while too, but you know, like you said, I've got a great partnership with Ford on the NASCAR side and our World of Outlaws team, but you know, Dodge has been a big part of our program at TSR on the Nitro side. So this isn't any different than what Kenny Bernstein's done, Chip Ganassi's done, Roger Penske is currently doing in different series with different OEMs. And I really appreciate Ford working with us on this. This wasn't something that was planned out of the gate and was a 5-year plan that's just now getting here. This is something that we're making a U-turn in the road without turning the blinker on in front of everybody, and everybody's scattering. So, but Ford did a great job, and Dodge has been amazing to work with, obviously, these last 2 years with Leah and Matt, and really proud that they signed off on letting me drive their car through. The goal is just to not suck, you know, which is going to happen for quite a while, I'm afraid, but we're going to do everything we can. It's a great opportunity for me, obviously, but yeah, and that's on the driver's side, but you know, from the husband side, I'm super proud of how strong a person my wife is. To think about, for all of us guys, we can start this process in 30 seconds and go about our life for the next 9.5 months, and it doesn't change our daily activities at all. When you have a female racer, this is a topic and something that is life-changing for them in their careers. And you know, to watch Leah go through this process, and literally this was her decision. We talked about it before. I had a really hard time distinguishing whether I was supposed to be in husband mode or car owner mode. I made it 30 seconds in husband mode and 9.5 minutes in car owner mode, and I realized at the end of 10 minutes, I may not have to worry about it. I might get divorced. But so we kind of came to the conclusion that I told her it is her decision 100%. Whenever she wants to do this, I'm behind her 100%. And supportive. And I'll be honest, we were driving to the banquet on Monday, and I fully expected in somewhere in that drive for her to say, hey, I think I want to push it back one more year after how strong the finish she had to the season. So I think it really speaks volumes to how strong a woman Leah is, and you know, makes me really proud to be her husband.
Well, one of the signatures in your career is you've never done anything until you felt comfortable enough to do it. You had an opportunity very early on to come out of what is now the Xfinity Series, I guess what was in the Busch Series, into what would have been a pretty decent ride in the top level Cup Series, but you pushed that back because you didn't feel you were comfortable at the level. Obviously, you feel that now in a Top Fuel car. Right, sure. If you say so. Well, you're making a move, buddy.
It scares the shit out of me every time I get in it. It's
I feel like when you look at any driver that's entered the Nitro ranks, they come from all different types of backgrounds, or maybe very little backgrounds. And I feel that Tony he's proven himself in so many other ways that when you compare to the other ones jumping in their experience, yes, you might not have a ton of Nitro experience. You got 20 runs right now, planning to get like 27 more before Gainesville. And I think he's going to fare very well. If I didn't, he wouldn't be in it.
I could get fired by her. We don't know.
Right. We have a big role reversal.
Yeah, we should probably start an over-under pool and see where this goes.
And look, in conversation with both of you, I know it's important to understand that this was an actual decision-making process. This was not a simple, well, my name's on the door, I'm driving the race car.
Yeah, that was important to me. It's, you know, when we talked about it initially and we started talking about who we thought should go in the car, she asked me if I wanted to be in the list, and I said, absolutely not. I wasn't comfortable yet. I was still learning how to drive the alcohol car, and didn't feel like I was good enough yet to be to that caliber. And I'm not convinced I'm that guy, but Neil and Leah seem to think they've been around it long enough, they know what to look for, and they have more confidence in me than I have in myself right now. But I know I've got a great support system, working with guys that I've been around for 2 straight years now, that have become family to me. And you know, like Leah said, when we talked to the team yesterday, they were supportive and behind us, and you know, that gets the year off started on the right foot.
You know, Leah, when we watched you at the finals, and we've gone back since in the production side and rewatched that race, we watched that day go on, and there was like this an immense amount of calm. Like you got more calm as that day went on. And Tony and I were looking at each other at one point in the booth, and it's like, man, this is like we're looking at kind of a different person here. Now, none of us knew this was coming, of course, in that moment, but how much of that understanding of kind of coming to the end of what is a pause, not the end of this chapter of your life, you will be back in a race car, but how much of it was the understanding that there was going to be a bit of a break, a bit of an ability to take your breath after that final round?
Well, I believe that throughout the season, when we had to have crucial conversations about what's going to happen and be prepared for that potential change, then we switch gears and we don't talk about it anymore. You know, Neil needs and Mike needs to stay focused on the car, as well as myself, and also I don't like to live in those two worlds at the same time. But when it came to the finals at Pomona, we all agreed that first round, I mean, that's for me, that was the most nervous, because we knew what that day looked like. We had a defending champion, we had a champion in every right, from Tony Schumacher first round to Antron to Steve Torrens, and then comes to the wire for who's going to be the champion in the final. So you can't have that opportunity without making it past first round. So once we got past first round and we talk about it, you get in that momentum, you get in that zone, and things just roll. There were way more nerves for first round than there were for the last round because of that progress we'd made all day. You know, we actually went out there looking to run a 64, 65, and we were down on power from the hit. It stuck the tire, and from there, we just didn't really have the chance that we wanted to give ourselves. But the fact that we still made a decent run and one that's going to live in history forever, that's Doug Coletta's the run, right? And that they fully deserve. And that day, he definitely proved, and with Alan Johnson and Brian Houston, that they deserved it. And I think that we have proven how established this team is and the capabilities of Neil Strasbaugh, Mike Domagala, and those are Tony Stewart's crew chiefs for next year. And I feel like that's something awesome for a third-year lead crew chief for Neil.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, you know, Bruno did a sit-down with you and Matt Hagan, who had won the championship by then when the calamity of the second round of Funny Car happened. He talked to you, I guess, going into that final round, and you could hear it in your voice broke up a little bit. You talked about how just emotional you had been. You said it was probably the most emotionally kind of weighted day you've ever had at a racetrack, and that's coming from a guy who's run the Indianapolis 500 a bunch of times and won championships and all the big races.
Yeah, it was hard not to. It's been a different dynamic being with Leah now. It's, you know, normally I was the one behind the wheel and I was the one in those clutch situations, and I know what that's like. And to sit there and watch her through the day, go through all this, and I'm watching her, and I saw the same thing you and Tony saw. I saw how calm she was, and she just never broke. I mean, it was every round, just the intensity kept ramping up. Her intensity in her head, it was just going down all day. For me, it was climbing
vertically,
exponentially.
Yeah.
And to sit there and when we pulled her around to the water box for the finals, I'm like, Doug Coletta's somebody that I raced sprint cars with in USAC in 94 and 95. He won the championship in 94. I won at 95, and he runner-up that year. And I'm sitting there going, wow, this has kind of come full circle.
Oh, it's a full circle moment.
So everybody that was standing up there knew it was going to be a cool moment for either one of them, no matter who won it. But when we pulled around the corner, to know what her plan was and what this really meant, knowing that she wasn't going to be in that car next year and had all this momentum to the end of the season, it was way harder on me apparently than it was on her. She just did it like it was a walk in the park.
So when we talk about what your winter is going to look like, what your testing process is going to look like, how much of that can you share?
It's going to be a little bit before I get testing. I had shoulder surgery on my left shoulder the day before Thanksgiving, so I'm going to get in trouble with my doctor if he sees this, and he is the NHRA doctor.
I was going to say, who just so happens to be the NHRA lead
most
doctor.
Most likely I'm going to be in trouble. I'm supposed to be in a sling walking around, so please don't walk by and pat me on the shoulder and go, hey, good job, congrats.
Please. I will get you.
Hit Hagan. He's big and sturdy and hardy. So, but it's I'm told it's a 3-month process to heal. I'm going to call Aaron Rodgers. He's figuring out how to cheat time.
Apparently, yeah.
So I'm going to call him and try to get some tips from him and see if we can figure out to shorten this duration of the rehab.
So, Leah, as we look forward, you know, you mentioned making runs with Bradenton in February. So the last time you sit in the seat for a while isn't quite yet. Is that a little bit of a thing that kind of buoys you a little bit, knowing that I'm going to hit the gas once or twice more before I actually likely step away for a little while?
It's definitely a huge motivator to continue what I already do from a workout regimen into keeping my health in check, and that's something that was also a contributing factor to making this decision overall. I have something called Hashimoto's disease, which is an autoimmune condition. Basically, your body attacks your thyroid, and I have a very difficult time creating all proper hormones from testosterone, estrogen, insulin. That's why you would see me at the races, with the glucose monitor, just for the last 2 years, really trying to dial that in so that I could be the best performing athlete that I possibly could be. Well, knowing that's going to give some challenges in what our plan is of starting a family, we don't know how long that's going to take.
Right.
So we don't really know how long Tony's shoulder is. So that's why this is pushed out quite a little bit. I'm excited about Bradenton, and that's a phenomenal race that Pro's putting on, invitational, big money, and after that, if Tony were to run that race, he wouldn't have what he would like to have for test passes. So test in Bradenton, myself, race the race. We still haven't, Neil, we got to decide what car we're running, whether it's my car from last year with the new front half or if it's Tony's car. I drove Tony's car this past week in Indy. When we set up, it was 25 degrees, track temp. Where's Chad Head? We don't want him to know what we ran on it. We got the data that we needed, but man, I'm swimming in that race car, and we'll see. So I'm super thrilled to be able to start the season that way, and I hope that I can end that Bradenton race in just a little better fashion than I finished the Pomona finals.
Tony, one last question for you as we look forward to the 2024 season. What are the biggest lessons you took out of your first full season in competition running the A-Fuel car? Was it anything in the car, or was it more outside the race car as far as, you came in 22, ran late in the season, but to make a full season, what is the value that brings to 24 to the Top Fuel car?
Well, at the end of the year, when we were kind of narrowing down the driver list, and ultimately that was going to be Neil and Leah's decision, but I was part of the conversations. I had a lot more confidence because of what I learned in the alcohol car, and I got to work with a great race team. The McPhillips family are awesome to race with. It's the most fun I've had racing in years. And what I learned from Pops and Richie, and then obviously Leah and Matt and everybody, I've had more support in the pit area than you can possibly imagine. More teachers, more mentors. So it's kind of like the Cliff Notes version. You get all the information you need, you get rid of the stuff you don't need, and as the year went on, we learned.
What about the other things that you learned, like the emotional roller coaster? There's not another turn, there's not another lap. Each run matters. And when things don't go right, it's 2 weeks or even a month down the road.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, dear.
I'll tell you,
it's a different feeling. I mean, you can go to Bristol and you screw up your lap on lap 20. You got 480 more laps to get where you need to be. This is a sport where everything has to work exactly right. The driver has to do everything exactly right. There's no redos. There's no, the next lap I'll change my line and fix it. It either works or it doesn't, and that was really hard to kind of wrap my head around. I watched it, and it's different when you're just a car owner watching from behind the car, but when you're in it, it's a different range of emotions. So, to sit there and kind of go through a lot of scenarios this year that were different and unique, and she had been through them all hundreds of times. I'm going through all those situations and emotions for the first time in this sport. So it just took a little bit to kind of wrap my head around how it is. It is most definitely different than anything I've ever done in my racing career. So I've just had to learn and figure it out as we go, and that's what this process is going to be next year. I mean, we'll do as much testing as we can to get me as comfortable as we can, as quick as we can, but it is going to be a process, and every pro driver I've talked to, they're like, it just is a matter of laps. You just got to make laps. And, it's not like a cup deal where we can go to Martinsville and happy hour and run 100 laps. On a perfect day, you can run 4 laps at a test session. So it's not going to come quick. It's not going to be easy, but look at my career. None of it's been easy, and none of it's been quick either. So, anything that's worth anything is hard and it's challenging, and that's going to be the fun part about this venture.
Well, congratulations to both of you on this this new phase of your life. Congratulations to Tony for coming into the Top Fuel Wars. We're going to have a lot more information this week, and we're going to have driver interviews. There's going to be some new full-time teams announced. You'll be coming into a category that'll have more full-time cars in its head in it in probably a decade. So just put another little piece of pressure on top of you to not screw it up at qualifying. But we look forward to certainly covering your progress in the category and how this entire kind of story of your guys' lives unfold. And it's going to be great. We will have some media availability with Matt, Leah, and Tony as well right down here in front of the stage. We'll be back with more from the PRI Stage 2023 right after this.